Welcome everybody to the Schoolhouse Podcast. This podcast provides a safe place for educators. Also, as well, I am your host. My name is Dre Tavius. Also, as well, I specialize in speaking to students about anti-bullying and how to manage their emotions. If your school or district is looking for someone to speak in reference to those topics, my email is purpose@originatepurpose.com. And I have the pleasure of interviewing Auntie Val today. So, Auntie Val, please tell the viewers and people about yourself, your credentials, and your background, things like that.
All right. So the world calls me Auntie Val, but I am the educator's educator. I help educators connect with students that don't look like them. And it's not always about race. My government name is Valari Humphrey, but everyone calls me Auntie Val. And let's see, I've been in education for 35 plus years. And I am an educational consultant at this current moment. So I get to travel the world and work with some amazing educators. So that is what I do. I am a three-time author, best-selling author, and I do so much. God is good. I am a college professor as well, and I love working with educators. That is my main goal, is to educate educators.
Okay, sounds great. So you've been in the education for about, you say roughly about 35 years, correct?
35 plus, yes, sir.
35 plus. And I know that you mentioned, I've heard in your, from listening to you in the past, you mentioned that you believe that it's students over curriculum, correct?
Kids over curriculum.
Kids over
And
curriculum.
the reason I don't say students because they're kids first.
Break
And
that
they're not they were kids before they became students.
down. Okay.
So it's a child. And what I do with educators, I remind them that you have to see the person. Because if you looking at the student, you're thinking about assignments, you're thinking about work, you're thinking about curriculum, and you're not thinking that that's a child with these emotions, with culture, and they bring some valuable assets to the table coming into your classroom. But when you're thinking that they're a student, you have different expectations besides if they're a kid.
Got you. So I guess now I know that I'm an aspiring educator right now, currently in school pursuing my undergrad, but
Okay.
I read the articles. I read like different I'm in different Facebook group chats,
Hmm.
and I know that it seems like, and I'm pretty sure teachers are, it seems like they're drilled to make sure that they are pushing the curriculum. So how would a teacher, like practically, what does that look like for on a day-to-day basis for kids to basically be the number one priority over the curriculum?
Connection.
Connection.
It's
Okay.
all about connection. It's about relationships.
Mm.
And a lot of people think, you got to push curriculum. It's about the achievement gap. If you love me, I'll perform. It's like when they tell you when a man meet the right woman, he'll do whatever.
Right.
When a kid meets the right teacher, they'll do whatever.
Mm.
Oh, they'll study. They want your attention. They want your time. They want your love. And they have attached love to production of the work.
Mm.
So if you connect with your students, connection is more than anything. That when you connect with a student, you'll know when something's wrong. When you connect with a student, you'll celebrate with them. When you connect with a student, they'll share with you. And then when you have an expectation, then you perform, you produce. And I've been in that arena. I started teaching in Cabrini Green in Chicago in the projects, straight out of college into the projects. I'm not telling you I knew I was going to the projects. I was told I would be teaching up north.
Oh
So
wow.
I was like, I'll be teaching up north. Yes, my pity friends, you guys still find looking for a job? I'll be up north. I thought I was gonna be up north in that fluent neighborhood with the white people and just doing my thing.
Mm.
Rude awakening. I'm looking into windows where there are no panes. I'm
Mm.
looking where they have bars for doors, and I don't understand because I came from the suburbs. And I fell in love from the day I walked into Cabrini Green. When I
Wow.
drove into Cabrini Green, I walked into Schiller Elementary School. I fell in love, and I spent my first 7 years of education in Cabrini Green in the projects, and it was a different experience, I must say. It was not your traditional educational setting in a sense where literally the gangs are right there. The mindset, the drugs, all of that was wrong. I'm driving through this every single day, and I loved every day. I still talk to some of my students to this day. So for me, it wasn't a pity party because I still had expectations. And my students rose. My students rose. I had one kid, Erica Ball. I still talk to her to this day. Erica took the state standardized test, and all they could put for her scores was 12 plus. And
12
she was in
plus.
7th grade, 12 plus. That was the grade level. She scored 12 plus.
Oh, so she exceeded the.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
They couldn't even say, oh, your 8th grade level, your 9th grade level. She was at the collegiate level in 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
They will rise. Right. They will rise. But you have to have the expectations for them to reach for. Because if your expectations are low and they could just knock it out the way, then it means nothing to them. So I didn't care where you lived. I didn't care. But I had those moments where it was like, you know what? You got a parent-teacher conference. The boy looked at me and said, I told him, I said, your mother need to come up here. You got a parent conference. And he was like, if you see the itch, tell her I'm looking for her.
Oh, wow.
I was like, in my brain, my mind, I was like, so your mother not at home when you get out of school? She not coming home when she get off work? Like, you don't know? Yeah, none of that. But I learned how to teach the kid. I learned how to teach my students, but I had to understand the kid that I was teaching. And I had to use reality pedagogy. I love Dr. Chris Emdin for that. Reality pedagogy, use their reality as your method of teaching, as part of the teaching, so they'll learn and they'll grasp it. You name 2 streets that's parallel, oh, they got it. But you ain't here trying to talk about perpendicular, parallel, and they run simultaneously. But if you say Madison, we in Chicago. So if you say Madison and Pulaski, they cross, they intersect. So I'll tell you, at the corner of Madison and Pulaski, they like, oh yeah. But if I say 1st and 2nd, oh yeah, they run parallel. Oh yeah, they never cross. But when you say Ogden, Ogden intersects, so it's gonna go across everything. So you use that reality pedagogy, the kids will learn.
Wow, that's something new. I've never heard of that before.
Oh yes, that's and it makes. I taught geometry with shapes because you got squares, circles, parallelograms, rhombus. You got all different shapes. I taught them with gym shoes.
Wow.
Think about all the brands that Nike has.
Right.
And there are some shoes that's just that shoe. There are no other forms of that shoe. But Jordan is still a Jordan, even if it is this type of Jordan, that type of Jordan, this type of Jordan. So it's still a 4-sided figure, but you got a square. A rectangle is still a 4-sided figure. You got a rhombus. So you still have different types of 4-sided figures. They're all gym shoes. It's just different type of gym shoes.
And say the name.
Which one?
You said it was a way that you pedagogy. You said
reality pedagogy.
Reality pedagogy. Okay.
Yes.
So the way that you would teach math is you would do it by the streets.
I use their reality. Whatever, I use their reality. Okay. If I came up with a word problem, I used their names. I use the owner of the store. If say you went to the store, I would say you went to Kevin's to get some chicken, and Kevin's right down the street. It was their reality. So I use their community. If I was naming a corner in my classroom, I would name it the corner of where the streets intersected. So I would say, go to Madison and Pulaski and give me some tissue and come on back. And they know to go to that corner of the room. And it will be easy for me to teach north, south, east, west, because I'll say, which way is Madison? They'll go that way. Okay, cool. Madison is east. And they cool because I'm using their reality. So when they're out and they're walking and they're seeing, I've connected the curriculum to their environment. So when they see Madison and they walking in this direction, they can tell their mom, we going east. Because Madison run east-west. So we good. We going east on Madison. My granddaddy taught me you walk towards the water, that's east. So I'm in Chicagoland area, so I know towards the water is east.
That I don't know, but that just got me excited because
It's yes.
I've never heard of that. Never. And I'm in school right now, and I know that I'm pretty sure I'm not all the way in the program yet,
Yes.
but
What year are you?
so I'm a sophomore, so I'm at Atlanta Metro, so it's a 2-year school, and then I'll be able to transfer to get into the program.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. So look, starting May 2nd, we're doing free PD for teachers. It'll be I'll send you the link so you can sign up, and I'll let it's a Facebook group called the Virtual Teachers Lounge.
The
And that's
varsity.
what we'll be. Yep, the Virtual Teachers Lounge. And we do free PD every Monday. So on we have it's 4 Mondays mostly in a month, and then we have a fifth one, but we're doing you ever heard of DISC assessment?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I heard of
Do
it.
you understand the DISC assessment?
I don't.
Okay, so the DISC assessment basically is your tendencies or your behavior styles and your patterns, right? So utilizing it in the classroom. So I always teach you have four types of students.
Okay.
You have the controller, the one that want to control, which looks like a bully in your classroom. Then
Mm,
you have the talker, which they just talk a lot, right? And then you have the asker. They ask a lot of questions. They're very inquisitive. And then you have the helper. I just wanted to help. I wanted to help. I wanted to help him find this pencil. I wanted to give everybody a pencil. She needed some tissue. I just
yeah.
want to help. So you have four types of students in your classroom. So what we do in the virtual teachers lounge in our professional development, we'll be teaching you how to connect, how to teach these four these four student styles, right? So I call it student style pedagogy.
Mm,
So it's that type of pedagogy where it's about the students. It's student led. And when you start learning about Charlotte Danielson, which is the evaluation system, which is really the coaching system for educators, it's not about evaluations, it's about coaching and student initiated. So when you begin to understand how those correlate, your kids will thrive. And I think when I started teaching 35 years ago, I thought it was about me.
mm.
Boo. No, where my bell? I got it. It's not about you. I need to tell every educator, it's not about you. And we make it about us. Our classroom, we decorate it the way we want. And then you have teachers, we'll sit down during the summer. So in July, we get ready to start back up in August. We sit down and plan out the first quarter. How are we doing that? You haven't met your kids. How are you writing curriculum for them? What doctor you know get your prescription ready before you get there?
Oh, wow. That
What?
okay.
So how are you scripting my education and you haven't met me?
Hmm.
So what
So
prescription are you writing?
that and that's an interesting way to look at it. So do you think that now let me ask you this. So do you think that students should be a part of I mean, of course, a part of the curriculum, but I'm trying to think how to ask this question.
A part of the planning? A part of
Yeah, like a
the
part of the planning process, like sitting in the meetings. I don't know, like what do you think about that?
So I don't think that they should decide what they learn, but they can decide how they learn. So
Right.
when I talk to you about those four behavior styles, there are also different learning styles, right? So if I know what's in my class, I know if I need okay, I have visual learners. So I need to plan a lesson with more visual things in it. If I know that I have students that like to write, then I need to create my lesson needs to incorporate that. But I don't have that yet. So how am I prescribing this lesson for you, this curriculum, and I don't have who I'm teaching.
Mm,
So kids should be a part of once you know who they are, they can be a part of it. But when
mm,
you learn the four styles, then you think about assessment, right? There's different types of assessment. I can do a video to teach you what I learned. I can write a paper. I can do a TikTok. I can do a skit. Right. So what begins to happen when you know your class, then you create assessments according to their superpowers.
mm.
And we don't teach kids that they have superpowers. We teach them that they have problems.
Right.
My second grade teacher told me I talk too much. I get paid to talk now.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
She didn't teach me that was my superpower. She taught me that was my problem.
Wow.
So in my second grade teacher, I still got my report card. It says she talks excessively. She didn't teach me how to govern my superpower. So for years, I was trying to figure out how to shut up. When you teach kids how to govern their superpower, they become amazing. So I teach kids when somebody say you do that too much, you need to stop. This is my superpower.
So okay, so let me ask you this, right? So you mentioned about how your teacher mentioned that you talk too much, but now of course you getting paid professionally for that. So how do you deal with, because if students are talking while the teacher is talking while they're trying to do a lesson, like I guess like how do you look at these, I guess what schools consider as like behavior problems, like from a positive perspective, and still like, hey, like you're talking a lot, but this is your superpower. Like you can become a public speaker, or maybe start a podcast, or whatever that may be. Like, how would you go about doing that as a teacher?
It's about connection and identification. If I know who I'm talking to, then I know how to connect with you. So if you're it's just like, so it's like you got to know. We call it code switching in the Black culture. We know how to code switch, right? But we don't have to code switch and forget who we are. You just need to know when and where. If I'm standing up, if I know my audience, I'm not going to stand up in front of 26 white teachers and be like, fam, quit playing. Stop doing that.
Right.
No, I wouldn't do that, because I'm still going to be authentic. I'm still going to be myself, but I'm going to speak the language that they understand. So if you're in my class and you talking this excessively, first of all, I'm going to channel your energy. Hey, Tammy, come on, Tammy, it's time to talk. Come on, I need you to read this. I need you to lead this. I need you to talk to the people for me. And my mother, she taught second grade. And I didn't realize how amazing my mother was, right? I thought she just used to be over the top. So on the first day of school, she asked the kids, second grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And they would be like a minister, a singer, a so-and-so, so-and-so. When they came back to school the next day, they would have a sentence strip on their desk with singer Jackie, Reverend Johnson, right? And I would be like, look, she let Reverend Johnson do the announcements every morning.
Oh, that's so
she
unique.
Let the singer sing the pledge every morning. She tapped into their superpower, right?
Right.
So when you tap into their superpower and they're using their energy and they know that you're going to allow their voice to be heard, they know when to not use it. But if you're not allowing me to use my voice until you tell, don't talk until I call on you. And if I don't know the answer, then that means I can't talk. So you're not teaching me it's my superpower. You're teaching me that it's your control. So how do I not control you, but I teach you how to control it?
Wow.
So my third grade teacher was like, now she, instead of saying be quiet, she would teach me now is not the time. So it's a difference between shut up, be quiet, stop talking, to now it's not the time, but once we finish. Now I know I'm gonna get in here. I'm getting in. It's just not right now.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay,
you can use it. It's easy. You can teach kids that they're amazing. But usually that thing about that kid that gets on your nerves, she asks too many questions. I can have it on the board. I can give her a worksheet. I can say it. She's still going to ask me. She processes differently. She needs the reassurance. I never thought about kids being introverts and extroverts. I never thought about it. I never thought about that. But you got to think, a kid that's an introvert probably won't raise their hand to be called on.
Yeah. So in those cases, should the teacher still call on that student anyway? I guess that's not necessarily make like embarrassing them if they don't raise their hand, right?
Create a system. Create a system. So I teach college course. I teach it when I start. Everyone gets 2 Post-its. They get 2 different colors. When you finish, everybody Post-it need to be on the board. Everybody has to share. So if I'm an introvert, I can plan. I can plan my answer. I can be ready. So now if I know that it's 24 people in the class and 24 people are going to answer and they may or may not have the same answer I have, guess what? I'm going to get my answer in first. So now my hand is going to go up so I can get my answer in. So I didn't create a competition without saying, let on your mark, get set, go.
Right. Okay.
And or
That's
you go old school, do popsicle sticks. So you get popsicle sticks with all your kids' names on it, and you pull it out. It's just a raffle, right? And then
right.
the kids know that they have to share. But if you say, "Who want to do this?"
Right.
Mark is sitting in the back like, "Not me. I don't want to do that. I don't care nothing about that." But if you say everyone's going to share, so I'll say, "Any purple post-its left?" And they be like, "No, we on the green." Okay, good. Let's get it.
Hmm.
Everyone has shared. They know the system. They're ready every day. So when the question come on the board, it's not like don't call on me. It's like what answer can I pull up because I got to be ready because I know she gonna call on everyone. So you
Hmm.
have to teach them to be ready. So one of my coaches used to say, "Stay ready, so you ain't got to get ready." That's ET. ET say that. Stay
Right.
ready, so you ain't got to get ready. So how do I prepare them to stay ready? How do I teach them what ready look like?
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
So I don't have to hide. Oh, I hope she don't call on me. Call on me. I'm ready. Let me get my answer up here quick, so nobody else takes my answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
no,
So,
come on. I'm with it. I'm ready.
so I know that you provided a lot of insightful information. And it's like this is really good information because some of this is I'm actually going to use in the classroom once I do become a teacher for sure. So
I
kind
promise you,
of
if you get on that Monday PD, that free PD we doing, you will be so let I didn't get to finish. So
oh, go
Monday is
ahead.
about the disc assessment.
Okay.
Tuesday is disc activities you can do in your classroom. And then so we're doing discology, and then we're doing hands-on disc. So you're learning disc how to discify your classroom and change your classroom into things. And then on the third weekend, the third Monday of the month will be getting schooled. So it's just topics and different things going on in schools. And then after that, we're gonna do live in the lounge, where it's just gonna be open topics, something going on in the news, something happening, or some crazy things in education. And then we have the male perspective. We have two male teachers that's on the team, and they're going
Okay.
to be the male perspective because 76% of teachers are female,
Yeah.
but less than 2% are black male.
Mm.
So
And
and minority. So I love it.
and with the point that you the statistic that you just said, actually, I had a question that I was just thinking about. What do you think in your perspective? What do you think the education system will need to do in terms of attracting more males of wanting to be educators? What do you think?
I think it's a matter of I think it's old school marketing.
Hmm.
It's not it's not saying it, it's showing it. Find a way to intentionally highlight males. Find a way to do male recruitment. Be intentional about what you're saying that you want. And
Hmm.
your actions have to be intentional, not just your words. Not just the statistics. Like I'm just gonna sit up here and say, yeah, I give you the stats,
Hmm.
but we're not doing anything to change that. So how do we, like in the beginning, everybody's talking about this achievement gap, but nobody was doing anything about it. So
Hmm.
when you become intentional, I think it'll change.
Right. Right.
Because let's find some male colleges. Let's go to Morehouse. Let's recruit at Morehouse. Let's make sure Morehouse has an education department that's fire. Let's make sure if there are any other male colleges, let's recruit from high school.
Hmm.
Let's figure out what path they can go on, and then put our male teachers in front of them, whether they're white, black, Chinese, or whatever. Put them in front of the students. Allow the students to see people that look like them. Male, female, same thing as race, but allow them to see more men. So when you have male teachers, bring them to the forefront more. And I believe that it's going to inevitably change, but it's going to take a little time.
Right. Right. That is very true. And if you can kind of because you've accomplished a lot. Can you kind of walk walk the people through what inspired you to go into education? Because I mean, we all know that education is not, well, at least at a teacher level, it's not the most rewarding, highest paid profession. So, what inspired you to want to originally go into education?
Teachers probably don't like me when we talk about this stuff. So my mother was a third grade teacher. I mean, my mother was second grade teacher. My aunt worked in school. So in my family, we have teachers and police officers majority. So education was my thing. And I used to be around my mother all the time. So I was at the school. So, and I watched my mother and I became my mother.
Mm,
So it wasn't, and then I have cousins that are teachers. I have, my aunt works in a school. So it's my cousin work at a school. So several cousins work university level, elementary level, principals, all of that. But it's like, what just drove me, I fell in love with Miss Biggs, my third grade teacher. Still talk to her to this day. And my mother was a teacher. So the two women that I looked up to the most were both educators.
mm.
And then my aunt was in education. And I just kept seeing strong women. I was in school all the times, right? So I just began to, I said, you know what? I want to be a teacher. Since third grade, I wanted to be a teacher. And that
Gotcha.
drove me. But I don't, so I'll bring in a little Christianity here.
Okay,
I
go ahead.
believe that if you follow God's plan, teachers don't make what they should make, but
Right.
they make decent money.
Mm,
If I graduate from college, when I graduated from college, I was 24. I went into education at 24. I want to say I was making probably, I don't know, 45, 50,000. I don't know. But that's good money to a single 24-year-old.
right.
That's good money. You can have an apartment, you can have a car, long as you don't mess up your credit and all that, and you ain't went out there and you ain't wilding. Because when my motto was one dirty, one clean, one on. That was my shoe game. I'd have 3 pair of the same shoes. One would be dirty. When they got dirty, go to the side. One was clean and one was on my feet.
Mm,
I made money. That's how I made money. But then if you most people don't go into education to make money.
right.
And so when the wheels start turning, then you're like, well, I could teach summer school and still get my regular check plus summer school.
Mm,
Right? Because all your friends work 9 to 5s and they work over the summer anyway. By the time you teach summer school, you out at 12. Then you hang out with your friends. So then it was like, okay. And then it was like, wait a minute. I could coach something or I could be a sponsor. I love kids anyway. So I can sponsor student council and get paid. I could sponsor cheerleading and get paid. And a speaker came to our church one day, did a workshop and said the best place to find extra money is where you find your main money. So
mm,
look at your current job and see if there's ways to make extra money at your job. And there really is in education. There's all you can do a club, you can do whatever. It's ways to make extra money. Now, should you have to work twice as hard? No. But for me, because I was doing what I love, it doesn't seem like a big deal. I still do it. When I'm being an educational consultant, I'm at a high school, I'm a college professor, and I'm in school to get my doctorate. So in about 2 years, it'll be Dr. Auntie Val.
nice.
Right.
What are you getting your doctors? Is it in education or what?
Coaching and mentoring educators.
Coaching and mentoring educators. And okay, so kind of walk the people through. So you were a teacher for 7 years, and then you
Mm-mm.
went. Sorry,
I was in the city for 7 years.
you were in the
I was
city.
I was in the classroom for 15 years.
Okay, got
I
you.
taught middle school math for 15 years, and then I became an administrator. And then I was administrator at an alternative school. And
Okay,
then a public school HR director came. I was a principal at the alternative school for the Urban League.
okay.
And the HR director from a large school district was going to use the building, the Urban League building. They was looking for African American teachers, so they was doing a fair and recruitment fair. And she came in a building, and she literally said, "Where are the students?" They told me this was a school. I said, "It is." She said, "Where are the students?" I said, "They in class." Wait a minute, where they supposed to be? She said, "No, where the kids?" I said, "They in class." She said, "You got this alternative school, right?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "And the kids in the building right now." She said, "I don't hear nobody. They outside." I said, "No, this this middle school. We don't get recess."
Right.
And she was like, "Let me see." So I walked in the classrooms. I was like, She said, "I got a school for you." I said, What happened?" She said, "I got a school for you." She said, "If you can have this alternative school going like this systematically, and there's no, you ain't screaming, shouting, ain't no doing nothing." She said, "Oh, this is a yeah." And in that move, I went from making $40,000 to $40,000 to $88,000.
Okay, so wait, you were the
I was a
assistant
principal
principal at the alternative
at
school,
the
right?
alternative school, and she hired me. Well, I pulled me over to the district, and I ended up being an administrator. So I went from a principal where it was 125 kids that was kicked out of public school, and then she put me in one of the most energetic schools in the district. And I was an assistant principal, but I was over the discipline. So discipline went down 53% after my first year.
Oh, okay. Impressive.
Like,
Impressive.
I ain't playing
And
all that.
and so like I guess and my thinking is because in alternative school, of course, like it's a lot of students, like you said, got kicked out for several reasons.
Mhm.
So was that now as a principal, I know it's a little bit different. So did you still use that same strategy, like just building that connection with the students, or was it more so with the teachers, or like what did that look like? Like running an entire school.
Same thing.
Same thing. Okay,
Same thing.
got you. Got
Same thing. It's about relationships and connections. You have to connect before you correct.
you.
If you don't connect, that correction gonna fall short.
Right. Right.
Because if there's no relationship and you haven't connected with those students, when you begin to correct, the energy is different because they may buck back. But when you have respect, then what happens is they don't buck back. And if they do buck back, all you got to do is go, "Well, I feel disrespected." And they'll like, "I wasn't trying to disrespect you." Well, because they care about the relationship. So it's just a matter of making sure that, so when the ground is even at the beginning of the school year, when there's no discipline issues, that's when you connect. First thing I do, even with the college kids, I learn all their names. So when I take attendance, it's like, okay, let's bet. How many names you think I'm gonna get today? I got 24 college students, and I still go in there every day. Jackie, so and so, Melissa. I go around, call them all by their name. And if I don't get their names, then I'll be like, "Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, remind me. Got it." I do it every day. Every single day. So I'm establishing a relationship by identifying that they're individuals right there. Instead of looking at the piece of paper going, "Melissa, Brittany, so." No, but I'm looking at you. I'm identifying your face as a person. You're someone and you have a name. And I call you by your government name. And then I ask permission to shorten your name. And I realize in my later years, when you change a person's name, you're not accepting who they are. You're making it easy for you because their name may have 12 letters in it.
Right.
No, you don't get to shorten their name. You ask the question, "Hey, what do you go by?" And if they repeat that long name, you ain't even got to shorten it. You respect it. Don't shorten it. Respect it. Figure out how to say it. One of my student teachers, Estefania. In the beginning, I could not get her name for anything because I wanted to say Stephanie and Estefania and it's like, and I couldn't do it. I could in the beginning, I just could not figure it out. But baby, I say it now. Estefania. I say it. And then they feel like they, like she tried because of me. So you make people count. You make people matter.
Yeah.
And it works. So in the alternative school, it was great. Oh, it was the best. The year before I started working, there was 121 police calls. My year, it was 2.
Wow.
And it should have been 2. He should have hurt the boy, but nonetheless, I ain't promoting violence, but
Hey.
But and I had Latin Kings, I had gang members in the alternative school. I mean, gang members, it's tattooed on their hand. They wasn't trying to have it on their neck, like, and I would literally in middle school, right? So I would literally connect, and I'd be like, "This is what I need from you. I'm not I don't need you to denounce your gang. I don't need you to do anything. And I'm not trying to disrespect it. But because it seems like you're promoting it, and we can't have that here. So would you be offended if either you gotta wear gloves or if you just put a band-aid right here? He was like, all right, give me a band-aid. All right, bet. Now I could have went the angle of cover that up. You can't have it all out of here, not exposed up in here. No, you can't promote. Come on now. So I had 2 calls and loved it. But at the same time, a lot of these kids came from the hood and they had been put out of public school. Right. So their parents was like, nah, their punishment would, or parents be like, I can't afford to get your haircut. I can't afford this.
Yeah.
So one of my former students was is a barber, has his own shop. He brought all of his tools, all of his skills, all of his stuff to the school. We turned a small classroom into a barbershop. He cut all of their hair for Christmas.
Man.
I never went into their house, but when they walked into the house with a haircut, what their mamas do.
Right.
They fell in love with me.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan ain't rang a kid doorbell. I call that the Jordan theory. If you sell it to the kid, they gonna sell it to the parent. That's the Jordan theory. Michael Jordan ain't knocking on the door talking about, would you buy my shoes?
No, he's not.
No, he did a commercial. I Believe I Can Fly. Right? Yeah. He did a cartoon. He did all of that. And what kids watch cartoons? He did all that. So it went into the house through the kids. They literally had to stop releasing Jordans during the week because kids would stop going to school. They would miss school to be in line to get the new pair of Jordans. And you had parents that was allowing that.
Yeah.
And I was in the hood when Jordan was blowing up. I was in Cabrini Green, and I would be like, when the Jordans come out, they was like at 11 o'clock.
12. Oh, they know.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
but 12 o'clock, you can best believe by 12 o'clock. And it was like the first person that walked into school with their J's on, they the one. They done made it. I don't care if they walked in at 2:54. Baby, as long as they walked in that day with them Jordans on, that's all that mattered.
Right.
But now, them shoes will come to the store and they don't release them till Saturday.
Yeah.
That's how bad Mike was.
Yeah, it's crazy because it kind of reminded me like when you was I love the movie Lean on Me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, when you started talking about how you walked into the alternative school and these guys were in gangs and different things like that, and in its simplest form, all you pretty much did was to, for the most part, to get them motivated to want to come to school and to actually want to get an education, was just build a connection with them and build a relationship with them.
They'll produce. They will produce. Kids will produce. It's just all about your expectations.
Yeah.
It's all about your expectations. You got to love them every day, even on the days they're not lovable.
Right.
You still have to love them. And if I can love you every day, you'll show up for me.
Right.
You'll fight for me. You'll protect me. I won't even have to say nothing. And kids will. Because most kids from the hood function off loyalty, respect.
That's very true.
So you speak their language. If I know how you function, you one of these 4 type of students, I know how you function. So I know your language. I speak your language.
Yeah.
I'm not in there using profanity and doing all that, but I'm speaking the language of your heart.
Yeah.
And most children either have a mother void or a mother respect. And if the void is there, I'm feeling that void. If the respect is there, I'm getting that.
Yeah.
So I love every day. I still, even at the high school, I do the same thing. Even at the college, I do the same thing. And even like, I didn't even know it was April Fool's Day, but I got up that morning. I was running a little early. I just texted the class. I was like, hey, y'all, I'm going to bring donuts. So bring your coffee or whatever you want to drink. That was like, okay. So I walked in with the Dunkin' Donuts boxes. They was like, what is it, broccoli? Like, what are you talking about? It was April Fool's Day.
Right.
No, I didn't think about that. I just was being nice. And they was like, oh my God, it's really donuts. I was like, yeah. You would have thought that I gave them like a A on a quiz or something. They were so excited. The college students are still children. And And you got to think they hungry. They don't eat breakfast. They just getting up, coming to class. And so to actually do, they was like floored. And we had extra donuts. The girls like, can I have them? Sure. I don't know her home life.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. But guess what? You surely can't have those 5 extra donuts, babe.
Wow.
And it made a difference in their life. So it's about connection. It's about caring. I had a student today. She turned in the assignment, but the way she did it was not up to her normal standard. So I reached out. I was like, did you turn in your draft? She was like, no, professor. She said, oh, I said, well, you didn't do it APA standard. You didn't do the APA style correctly. I let her redo it. I'm an educational coach. I don't consider myself an instructor. I'm not evaluator. I'm an educational coach. So a coach want to win. And I
Right.
can't win if you ain't the ball not going in the basket. I can't win. So I have to help you put the ball in the basket. I can't create gotcha moments. I don't want to create moments where I get to curse you out and act a fool and go off because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm going to help you win, but I'm going to teach you to be independent. And most coaches, and I talk to I tell my students, a coach, when you make a shot, the coach not going, great job, good job. They not sit there, get 3-4 claps and they back down to the other end if it's basketball, right? So I'm that coach. I'm in the game with you, but I can't run next to you.
Right.
So I'm gonna show you how to use the skills that you need to play in the game, and I'm gonna be on the side to make sure you do it right. And when
Right.
you get out of pocket, I'm gonna bring you back in. When you move too far, I got you. But and that's the thing. I tell my student teachers as well. Just be coachable.
Yeah.
This is a coaching experience. I'm gonna let you play the game, but be coachable. And it works. It really works. And if not, and I tell them, even if when you get your own classroom, you don't believe in what I'm saying, try it your way. You may put a little mix in there. You may do it a little different. It's like a recipe. You be like, you know what? I like my recipe. I like this spicy, so I always add cayenne. Cool. It works. But as an educator, you got to get out there and figure out how to do it. But to me, it starts with a connection before anything.
And so the things that you teach in professional development and training teachers, you teach that same thing in the college classroom as well. It's like very similar, or how does that work?
So if I go to your school to do professional development, it depends on your pain points. It depends on what you want me to come in and talk about. If you want me to come in and use a tool to show you how to find out these 4 behavior styles, 4 learning styles, I can do that. The 4, student styles, I can show you how to do that. With my students, it depends on the class. So one class I was doing just basically in layman terms, it was how to make math fun. And so I taught them how to do math games and how to create lessons that were engaging. And then one class is about as an educator, connecting with parents, connecting professionally with the community, and dealing with special needs students. So they deal with parents. So I had them do a parent portfolio. I gave them 6 types of families that they had to find and interview. And then they had to write up an interview. Because as a teacher, you think you're teaching a child. It's really about because you got to understand their culture. You got to understand the climate of the household, not just the culture that they were raised in. What's the climate? Example, most African American kids are raised to look me in my face when I'm talking to you. Don't look all outside the wall. Don't look down. Most Chinese cultures are taught that humble means this. So if they sitting with their head down, but for me as a Black female, I was raised, look at me when I'm talking to you.
Right.
So I got to know that as a teacher. So I have to understand the climate and the culture of this child that's coming into my room. So I teach them that, you right? So, and then I could teach you how to, it depends on what you really need or how I come in. But at the college, so I teach the parent class, I teach the, and then I supervise student teachers as well. So I have 5 student teachers that I supervise. So I get to go and observe them and talk to them and meet with them on a regular basis.
Right.
So I do a couple of different things.
Yeah, you do it. And so how did you, because maybe you have some viewers out here that say, hey, I love teaching, but I want to get more on the entrepreneur side of things in education. How is that? Like, how did you get into coaching? kind of just being on the entrepreneur side of things when it comes to education?
I realized along the way that I had an anointing to connect.
Mm,
And once I realized I had an anointing, then um my first I started speaking in 1999. I didn't start getting paid to about 2015 because I love what I do. So I never saw it as an entrepreneurial lane. I saw it as an opportunity to speak, to do what I love to do. So when I began to do what I love to do and it began to pay, when you sign a teacher's contract, you can't take a day off to go make money somewhere. It's
mm,
in your contract that says that you can't use your sick days for that. So when my speaking started to overlap into my educational job, I had to make a decision. But I realized that I don't want to be a full-time entrepreneur. So I
mm,
did it since 2019, and I loved it. I loved it, but I missed the element of connecting with children.
mm.
So that's why I became an educational consultant. So I partner with school districts. Like one school, I'm there 15 hours a week. So I just go spend 3 days, 5 hours each day, and just work and do different things within the community. So I'm connecting with students. I'm at the university being, as a professor, connecting with students. And when you're still in the midst of education, you are growing
Mm.
because if I left out of education when it was all about, the new word was pedagogy. Okay, well, what's pedagogy? Or what's this? What's that? Right? But I wouldn't have got to collective teacher efficacy, right? So I wouldn't know the new things that's out there. So to be in the educational arena, also getting my doctorates, I'm learning. So I can be a coach because I know what's going on. But if I stop playing ball in 19, right, and I'm trying to coach right now, that
Yeah.
ain't going right. So for me, I didn't want to come. I came out and I was like, I'm too far away. I'm too far. I'm too far. I'm too far from it. I still needed to be in the midst of it. And one thing about educators, one thing about us, if you ain't never taught, it's hard for you to talk to me. I can clap, I can hear you, I can cheer you on. But when
Mm,
you start telling me what to do in the classroom,
mm.
and if you never, two things, if you never taught or you ain't taught in like the last 5 or 10 years,
Ah,
because kids different. Kids,
right.
because when the pandemic first started, I wasn't in the classroom. I was an entrepreneur and I was still doing professional development, but I wasn't there. I
Mm,
wasn't dealing with the pandemic. I was at the house. My pandemic was right here where you see me.
right.
Right? So I wasn't in the trenches. So I can't tell you how to fight this war if I'm not in the trenches.
Wow.
So
Mm,
being an educational consultant, I'm back in the trenches. I was at the end of the pandemic. So beginning of this school year, I was back in. And I,
right.
I was wearing a mask every day. I was dealing with kids that's struggling. I was dealing.
Mm,
But see, it's real easy. It's real easy to be a travel agent. Because I'm sitting in my office telling you where to go. But when you become a tour guide, I'm walking with you to that place. I'm taking you.
mm,
So I felt like a travel agent.
mm.
I was telling them, you can do it. You can go in there and do this. Oh, just do this. Oh, and I'm telling them that whole time. I was like, you ain't in this fight. I'm
Mm.
selling the ammunition. I ain't in the fight. I'm selling the guns. I ain't in the fight.
Right.
So I suited up. I'm back in the fight.
Hey, and I love it. It's funny because actually it was it was this semester because I took some time off because I currently work at an after school program.
Mm-hmm.
And I love being there. I love being there with the kids and different things like that. It's the elementary level. They're so full of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I took off some time so I can focus on my schoolwork. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna focus on my schoolwork for this whole semester and I'm not going to go back. And I end up going back, You know,
Yeah.
it was like calling me because I don't know. I guess for me, it's like I don't know. Like when I'm doing my schoolwork and I'm doing these research papers and looking up these different like we have to create these lesson plans in the class. I mean, it's it's all right, but it gets like boring after a while. And I'm like, man, I want to actually go and be out there and be in the field. So
Right.
I just thought about that when you said that. Okay.
Amen.
Okay. So how did you so with the clientele part of like so when you decided to go into entrepreneurship, basically because you were already in the profession speaking, you had basically all the relationships, like the connections to kind of make that transition.
I was already speaking. I've been speaking since 1999.
Right.
I wasn't really charging for it. So I
Right.
began to charge for it
Oh, and then
probably in
you
like 2008. 2018.
mm,
I'll say 2017. I started really charging because I went and got the coaching.
right.
I went through Eric Thomas's speaking program
Got you.
and understood the marketing and the business side. I was a great speaker. I have an
Mm,
anointing and I know that, but I didn't know the business side of this. I didn't know being an entrepreneur meant you had a business.
yeah.
I didn't think about it like that. So when I learned the business side and I met this guy named Kendall Ficklin,
Oh
that's
yeah.
my
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
Kendall, my forever coach. Kendall Ficklin, then you have CJ.
Yeah.
And between Kendall and CJ, new level. And they just, they opened my eyes up to a world. And I was like, wow, got it. So then I knew how to market myself. I knew about the other parts of it. But it's just I have been speaking since 1999. And then what happens is, like you see me doing something and you go, hey, can I interview you? Hey, can you come speak at my church? Hey, can you speak to these kids? I'm speaking at a kids conference in May, 500, 500 kids at a summer camp. And it's like, I don't normally do that, but because I'm about the educators, but it's in the realm.
Right.
So it's just a lot of it is word of mouth, but on top of word of mouth, it becomes, the marketing and stuff like that. So I can't say that I really had the connection because I had the exposure already.
Mm. So if anybody is really looking to get into entrepreneurship, a coach is definitely necessary, most definitely.
It
So
depends on what you want to do. I always
mm,
get a coach or a mentor, a mentor.
right, right,
Yeah,
right,
and I have the relationship with my coaches. Like I'm not a client anymore. I'm out here doing my thing. But my coaches, if I pick up the phone, I'm just, I text, hey, I need to. It's like, all right, cool, let's go.
right.
Let's meet up. So
Got you.
God is good. Yeah. I appreciate you though.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. I've been looking for a way to just connect with different people that truly inspires me. So this podcast pretty much provides that outlet. So
I
most definitely,
promise if you get on this, you'll see some amazing teachers,
yeah.
amazing people in education, period. So on the call, we have former superintendents, we have people that's out in the game speaking, we have people that are still in the classroom that's doing amazing stuff. So yeah, but I learned about different communities,
Mm,
networking. I missed that piece when I was in college. I didn't. I kicked it. I didn't network, and we need to teach our children to network.
got you, got
It's
you.
not about kicking it. But I truly appreciate this time. I do.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed it.
most definitely. I'm glad that you took time out your day to get on the Schoolhouse podcast. So I have one more question for you,
I'll take it.
and we can wrap things up. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, and where can people follow you as well on social media?
So Instagram is at the educator's educator. And then Valari Humphrey is on Facebook. And if you go to on Facebook, if you join the virtual teachers lounge, definitely there. I'm there all the time. And then on Monday, starting May 2nd, you'll be able to join the free PD, and you can find it in the virtual teachers lounge or on my page, Valari Humphrey. And you can always go to valarihumphrey.com. Always go to valarihumphrey.com and get in touch with me through booking at valarihumphrey.com.
Nice, nice. And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Let's see. I'll be done with my doctorate, so I'll be Dr. Humphrey.
Okay.
Um, my 2024, I'll be done, and then my book comes out in 2024, And so my publisher said we cannot publish because it on the cover needs to be Dr. Humphrey. So we just holding that one. So
Okay,
I was
okay.
like, all right, okay, I'll take it. So we're holding my fourth book until then. And then so I'll still be an educational consultant, but I'll still be traveling the world. I want to be the Michael Eric Dyson of education.
Michael, I have to
Michael
look.
Eric Dyson.
I have to
Michael
look.
Eric Dyson is a professor. I think he's still at Harvard. He's either at Harvard or Princeton, but it's to the point where he goes, people come, like they'll go to that school just to be under his tutelage. So I want to produce teachers. So my goal is to Dr. Humphrey travels to universities and train student teachers. I want to work with student teachers.
Student teachers, got you.
Yep. So when they're in the classroom or their last semester before they student teach, I think they should do, especially that last month, or it should be the last semester they're taking a class. That class is about, just because they don't teach you what you really need in the classroom. None of that philosophy stuff. You ain't gonna use that again. You ain't gonna use that in the classroom. Nobody care about math methods. They don't care nothing about that. They don't care. When I tell you nothing.
So none of the philosophy stuff, is irrelevant. But I thought
when Mark is cussing you out, what you need? What philosophy you need on that? You need street logic.
Right.
You need common sense.
Right.
And when you write your lesson plan, they give you a book with the lesson plan in it. So all of this that they're teaching you how to they teaching, like right now they're teaching the students to write lesson plans. They have to write these elaborate lesson plans. When I first started teaching in Chicago, we had to write lesson plans. When I came in the suburbs, and I was like, oh, as an administrator, I'm gonna have to grade lesson plans. They didn't even do lesson plans. They don't even do lesson plans.
But see, that's the thing though. Like I hear that it's a lot of districts that don't do lesson plans, and then like when I'll get on, like read some of these different articles and different things like that, they say that they do lesson plans. So I'm like,
so it's a difference between planning a lesson and a lesson plan. So that's two different things. When they have you write out your assessment questions, write out the objectives, you writing out all of this stuff, just retyping it. It's in the book. Now, if you have some supplemental type things going on where you want to do something different that's not in the book, but it enhances the learning, that's cool. But I'm spending my time typing out a whole lesson plan. I think teacher evaluation should be on innovation and connection and student engagement. You got student engagement, you have student initiated learning. What are your kids doing? Because I come in and watch you perform. Beyonce ain't gonna show up with a sweatsuit on in this performance day.
Most definitely not.
Right. So if you know your principal coming in on March 5th, guess what? March 4th, you're gonna tell your kids, okay, the principal coming in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't act
right. Try to give them the act
right. You're gonna perform.
Right.
And I didn't even think I was performing until my students evaluated me. I used to do student evaluations.
Oh, wow.
And they went on the site. I don't even know the site. And they put, it was a kids from my last period class, and they was on the site talking about how I don't teach them like I teach first, second, and third, and the rest of the other kids.
Get out of here.
They was jealous. They was jealous, but they was mad because I was the cheer coach. So ninth period, I'm getting ready for the game. The cheerleaders coming in, changing. I got all this stuff going on. I wasn't giving them my energy.
Yeah.
They called me out. But I ain't know. Like, I ain't think about that. But that's where it's like, what we do, how we do. And guess what? If nothing else, the pandemic showed us all this time that we got these kids in school. They don't need to be in school from 9 a.m. to 3 to learn. They don't.
Oh, okay.
They don't.
Yeah.
We got them in school all day. If you think about it, you got an hour for lunch, plus recess, plus study hall, plus all this. Them kids can get out at 12, 1 o'clock, come to school at 9 and hit the subjects, hit their classes, and be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got all this extra stuff in there. We got all this extra stuff.
Mm,
It definitely falls under social emotional learning, but they can get some social emotional learning without all these extra periods.
mm.
That's my take on it, but that's me. But
But
the pandemic showed us though.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But if you think about it, I've always thought about it that the reason why schools implement that schedule is because it's very similar to a 9 to 5. Because I mean, they basically teach you how to get a job.
How similar is it though? You get out at 3. What job you get off at 3 and you start at 9?
Oh, very true. That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll eventually change. The pandemic hit. I
Right.
think the pandemic, and a lot of schools have opened up to the online concept, and kids that's online. What are you doing? How you like? So it's different. They're not sitting there from 9 to 3. They're not
Yeah.
sitting online that long, right? So it'll change. It'll inevitably change, but God is good in the meantime. But
Right.
yeah, in 5 years, I'll definitely I'll be doing my thing. But I'll
Well,
be Dr. Humphrey doing it.
right. With the doctor. Got you. Got
Yes.
you.
Yes.
All
So
right.
I hope
Well,
to see you on Mondays though. For real, for real. I'll send you the link.
yeah, definitely send me the link and I'll definitely come through. I think it'll be a great experience for sure.
And I really believe we have some male teachers, and I think you can get a couple of male mentors that'll really help you through your next couple of years on your journey.
All right. Sounds great. Sounds great. I look forward to getting that information and jumping right on in.
All right. Well, this is how I close. That's it. That's all, says the clock on the wall. Go be amazing on purpose. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. All right. Welcome to the Schoolhouse Podcast office. All right. So basically, what we went over today is we went over a lot, right? We went over how important Auntie Val expressed how important connections are with students. Isn't it amazing that she was able to change the culture, the dynamics of a school at an alternative school and still and she made a difference just by simply one of the most important things is making that connection with your students, making that connection with the teachers can make all of the difference. Thank you all for listening. Again, please follow, share, subscribe to this podcast, and that is it, and we're out.